Hey, welcome to Revenge Handler. Get comfortable and give the story a chance. And when it's over, tell me in the comments what you would have done differently. She moaned his name in her sleep. That's what did it. 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm wide awake staring at the ceiling while my wife, lying 5 inches from me in our bed, rolls over and breathes out Ryan like it was a quiet lullaby. I didn't say anything, didn't even move, just stared at the dark and felt something in my chest go ice cold. My mouth was dry. My heart was beating like I'd sprinted up a flight of stairs. But I didn't get up because the truth is I already knew. The late work dinners, the sudden makeup before going to gym, the way she locked her phone, even just go to the bathroom. All of it was right in front of me. I just hadn't wanted to put it together. But that name, that tore the blindfold off. I laid there until the sun came up. I heard her alarm go off, heard her stretch. She rolled over and kissed my shoulder like everything was fine. I said nothing. She showered, dressed, and left for work. I waited until I heard the garage door close. Then I opened her laptop. She never logged out of her email. And that's when I saw it, a thread of messages between her and Ryan D. from her office. They weren't even careful. They joked about me, about my boring routine, my quiet little life. He called me background noise. She wrote, "He won't leave. He's too scared to be alone. Before we keep going, drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from." I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't punch a wall or call her at work. Instead, I got up, made coffee, sat down at the kitchen table, and thought about every single time I'd ignored my gut for sake of keeping the peace. Every time I backed down in an argument. Every time I made excuses for how distant she'd become. That night, she came home like nothing was wrong. Sat on the couch scrolling her phone, legs tucked under her, glass of wine in hand. She looked peaceful. So I asked, "How's Ryan?" Her body went stiff. She didn't even look up. "What?" "You heard me," I said. Standing now, I read the emails. She didn't deny it. She didn't cry. She just narrowed her eyes like I'd invaded her privacy. "You're acting crazy," she said. "Keep him," I said. "I'm done." Then I walked out the front door, got in my truck, and drove away with no plan, no bag, no goodbye. I didn't go to a friend's place. I didn't check into a hotel. I just drove. I crossed the bridge over the Hudson and kept going until I hit a gas station outside Kingston. I sat there in the parking lot with the engine running, hands locked on the wheel, heart still pounding like I'd run a marathon. I must have looked insane. Truck half full of old work tools. Coffee from that morning still in the cup holder, and me, 39 years old, married 12 years, kicked out my own life by one name whispered in her sleep. I didn't call anyone. I didn't tell my brother or my mom or the one friend I still talked to since getting married. I just sat there like a ghost. The anger hadn't hit yet. I was still in the shock stage, that in-between state where your brain hasn't caught up to reality and you're just trying to breathe normal. It wasn't just the cheating. It was the way she did it. Calm, calculated, smiling at me over dinner while planning her next move, telling me she was tired when I offered to take her out, treating me like some overly emotional roommate. She was just too polite to kick out. You know what the worst part is? I'd been saving up for a vacation. I was going to surprise her with a trip to Charleston in the spring. I had the Airbnb bookmarked on my phone. I had the PTO lined up. I thought we were in a slump, not a full-on betrayal. Around midnight, I finally turned my phone back on. 12 missed calls, 4 texts. "Curtis, can you come home so we can talk? You completely overreacted. I didn't think you'd just leave. You're being dramatic. We're adults. We can work through this. Work through it." She let another man call me background noise, and she thought I'd sit down like some neutered little husband and talk it out over tea. Nah, not this time. I slept in the truck that night, laid the seat back, pulled an old hoodie over my face, and shivered through the cold. I wasn't ready to make decisions yet. I needed to clear my head. I needed to be angry, really properly angry, before I did anything stupid. Next morning, I drove to a diner I remember off I-87. I ordered eggs and coffee and sat there scrolling back through the emails. It went back almost a year. A year All those Friday night work things and sudden solo grocery trips. That was Ryan. He didn't even have a full beard. Just some slick office dude who wore loafers with no socks and had a psychology degree from Rutgers. One message stood out. Don't worry, he won't leave. Curtis is harmless. He's too soft to walk away. That one flipped the switch in me. She didn't just cheat. She mocked me for staying loyal. She made me into some sad little cartoon character in her twisted romance storyline. Like I didn't have teeth. So I made a plan. I drove back to the house that afternoon, not to talk, not to fight. I wasn't there to scream or cry, or give her the emotional closure she clearly wanted. I just needed two things: my laptop and the safe box. That safe had all my birth certificates, the deed copies, my old Social Security card, and most importantly, the prenup. She was in the kitchen when I walked in. She gasped like I was a burglar, then crossed her arms and tried to look wounded. You can't just walk out like that, she snapped. You scared me. I didn't even glance at her. Just went in the hall closet, popped the safe, and pulled my stuff. Curtis, stop acting like a victim. You're not perfect either. I finally looked up. I didn't screw a co-worker and laugh about it in writing. That shut her up for a second. Then she tried the tears. I was lonely. You were always working. You stopped seeing me. The script, word for word from some late-night talk show therapy segment. Like cheating is just a natural response to your husband being tired. I walked past her without saying a word, grabbed my laptop from the den, unplugged the charger, and headed for the door. She followed. So that's it, she said. You're just going to throw away 12 years? I turned to her, calm as ice. No, I said, you threw away 12 years. I'm just taking out the trash. I walked out, this time for good. Instead, I made my way to a small motel just outside Shrub Lake. Cheap, quiet, and far enough from anyone who knew me. I paid cash. The guy at the front desk didn't ask questions. The room smelled like pine sap and old socks, but it was mine. No tension, no secrets, no half-hearted hugs or fake small talk. Just silence. I laid on the bed and stared at the water-stained ceiling until my body finally gave out and I passed out for 12 straight hours. Next morning, I woke up to a new number calling. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, I played it. It was him, Ryan. Hey, Curtis. Look, I didn't want it to go this far. Jenna told me you two were done before anything happened. I swear I didn't mean to cause problems. I think you're a good guy, and I hope you can move past this. He hung up like that was some kind of olive branch. I stood there holding the phone like it was a ticking bomb. He called me. The same guy who had been sleeping with my wife behind my back for almost a year. The guy who joked about me like I was just some sad sack husband. Now he wanted to play the decent man. I called him back. He didn't answer, but I left a message. You want to act like a man, Ryan? Good. Then here's the truth. I read everything. Every email, every line where you two laughed at me. I don't care what lies she told you, but from now on, you get to deal with her. All of her. The mood swings, the guilt games, the cold stares when she's done using you. Good luck, man. You're going to need it. I hung up and blocked the number. That voicemail wasn't for him. It was for me. That was the moment I realized I wasn't grieving anymore. I wasn't walking around stunned or hoping she'd come running after me with some grand apology. I was done. No screaming match. No door slamming. Just done. But I wasn't going to disappear either. If she thought I'd go quietly, she had another thing coming. I didn't go home, but I didn't vanish either. I spent the next few days doing exactly what she never expected. I got organized. No drinking, no breakdowns, no begging to talk. I hit up my buddy Leo, the one guy from work I actually trusted, and crashed at his place for a while. He didn't ask a lot of questions, just tossed me a spare key, handed me a cold beer, and said, "Use the back bedroom. Sheets are clean. Let me know if you need anything else." That was it. Solid guy. Always has been. While she was still figuring out what version of fake guilt to text me, I was making phone calls. I got a lawyer. Nothing dramatic. No threats. Just facts. I already had a copy of the prenup. Jenna never paid much attention to it, when we signed it back in the day, because back then I was the broke one, and she thought she was marrying up. But now, with the business doing well and a house in my name, suddenly that piece of paper meant something. The lawyer was calm, sharp, no nonsense. Said, "If you're done, Curtis, we can make this clean. But don't talk to her without going through me." Good. That's exactly what I wanted. But then came the twist. I found out she hadn't told anyone. Not her friends. Not her family. Not even her sister who lived 20 minutes away. To them, I was just working late or out of town. She was stalling, probably hoping I'd come crawling back, and she wouldn't have to explain why I left in the first place. That's when I decided to burn the mask off. I sent one message, group text, her sister, her parents, and a couple of our mutual friends. "Hey, just so everyone's clear, Jenna and I are separating. She's been having a year-long affair with a co-worker named Ryan. I've left the house and started divorce proceedings. No need to reach out unless it's necessary. Hope you all take care." Simple. No ranting, no bitterness. Just truth. Dropped like a grenade. 15 minutes later, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. Her sister called twice. One of her friends texted me, furious. You didn't have to humiliate her like that. But guess what? I wasn't playing clean anymore. She made her moves in the shadows. I brought the lights on. Then Jenna called. I stared at the screen for a few seconds, then answered. "Was that really necessary?" she hissed. "Do you get off on making me look like a monster?" "You did that all by yourself," I said. "I just stopped covering for you. You're blowing everything out proportion, Curtis. You're acting like we didn't have problems before Ryan. We did have problems. And instead of fixing them, you crawled into bed with a guy from your office and laughed behind my back." There was a pause. I could hear her breathing. Then she said, "You're going to regret this." I almost laughed. "No, Jenna, I've regretted the last 2 years of my life. Now I'm finally fixing it." I hung up before she could say another word. She thought I'd stay quiet. She thought I'd protect her image, protect our reputation, protect her from consequences. She forgot who I was before I became her doormat. That guy, he was back. 2 days after I sent the group text, Jenna showed up at Leo's place. No warning, no message, just knocked on the door like we were still playing house. Leo wasn't home. I was on the couch eating cold pizza and watching the news when I heard it. At first, I thought it was a neighbor or a package delivery. But then the knock came again, louder, more impatient. I stood up, walked to the window, and sure enough, there she was. Hair done, makeup perfect, like she was headed to brunch, not showing up on the doorstep of the man she cheated on. I opened the door, didn't step aside, didn't invite her in. "Really?" I said. "You're showing up here now?" She crossed her arms like I was the one who owed her an apology. "We need to talk. You didn't have to blast my business to everyone." I didn't answer, just stared at her. She tried to step inside. I blocked the doorway with my shoulder. "You can say what you came to say from right there." Her face twitched. I think that's when she realized I wasn't bluffing. I wasn't still in love. I wasn't waiting for her to fall into my arms and apologize. I was done. Her. I sat with that for a minute. I'd spent so long trying to fix things, trying to play the good husband, biting my tongue, thinking that if I just worked harder, loved harder, maybe she'd come back to me. All the while, she was painting me like some sitcom joke, the clueless husband who didn't see it coming. Well, she saw it now, and I wasn't done. I forwarded the email to my lawyer, told him to pull everything, call logs, financials, shared accounts. If she spent a dime of our money on that guy, I wanted it documented. I wasn't going to drag her through the mud, but I wasn't going to protect her anymore either. You cheat on me, fine, but you don't get to rewrite the story. And you definitely don't get to walk away clean. By week 3, Jenna was unraveling. She'd gone from cold and condescending to desperate and erratic. First came the sad text. "You're still my best friend. I miss the way we used to laugh." All that recycled rom-com garbage. Then when I didn't respond, she switched gears. She started posting long, vague, emotional updates on Facebook, like she was the one who'd been left. Stuff like, "Sometimes the people you trust the most turn out to be strangers." You'd think she'd been cheated on the way she was laying it on. I didn't respond to a single one, but I saw them. Oh, I saw them. What she didn't know was that people were already talking. Her own circle was cracking. Two of her friends, mutuals we'd known since our wedding, reached out privately to say they'd had no idea what was really going on, that if they'd known she was running around behind my back, they never would have defended her. One of them even apologized for the angry message she sent me after my group text. "I thought you were trying to embarrass her," she wrote. Now I realize she did that to herself. Turns out when you stop hiding the truth, people start connecting the dots. But here's where it got really wild. My lawyer called and said Jenna had filed a motion to freeze our joint accounts. Out of nowhere, no warning. She tried to pull a financial power move like this was some high-stakes divorce drama. She claimed she needed the money for temporary housing and legal protection. Meanwhile, I was the one who walked out and hadn't taken a dime. I wasn't even mad. I was impressed. This was a woman who blew up our marriage, lost her side piece, got caught lying to her family, and now she was trying to cut me off financially to regain control. She still thought she was playing chess. She didn't realize the board was already flipped. But the best part? She forgot about the prenup. She forgot that everything we built was in my name. The house, the truck, even the retirement account. Back then, she didn't care because she thought she was marrying a guy who'd never make real money. Now, 12 years later, I was sitting on assets and she was sitting in her sister's spare bedroom wondering how it all went sideways so fast. I told my lawyer, let her try. Every move she makes just shows the court exactly who she is. He agreed. Judges hate liars more than cheaters, he said. She's doing your work for you. And he was right. Jenna didn't realize how many people she'd burned on her way down. The co-workers she used, the friends she'd lied to. Even her own parents were starting to ask questions. And Jenna hated questions. She couldn't control the story anymore. And without control, she was unraveling by the hour. That night, I got another text. No words, just a photo. It was the two of us from our 3rd anniversary, that trip to Lake George. I had my arm around her, and she was looking at me like I was the only man on earth. She sent it with no caption, like that image alone was supposed to do something. It didn't. I stared at it for a second, then deleted it and blocked her number for good. She thought I'd beg. She thought I'd cave. Instead, I went to sleep like a man who finally remembered who he was. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. Clean, fast, and brutal. Exactly how I wanted it. She didn't get the house. She didn't get a dime of my savings. That prenup she rolled her eyes at 12 years ago. Ironclad. The judge took one look at the timeline of the affair, the financial records, the messages, and basically handed me everything with a stamp and a nod. Jenna didn't even show up to the last hearing in person. She sent her lawyer alone while she stayed home, nursing whatever was left of her ego. But karma wasn't done with her yet. About a week after the papers were signed, I got a message on LinkedIn from someone who used to work at her office. Apparently, Ryan got promoted and transferred out of state. Just like that, he was gone. No goodbye party, no big send-off. Word was he requested to move himself. Jenna had told everyone they were working things out, but clearly he had other plans. She got ghosted by the same guy she blew up our marriage for. To make it worse, her reputation at work was tanked. The anonymous emails, the HR whispers, the quiet cold shoulders, it was all catching up. A source told me she was on probation and probably wouldn't last a year. Office affairs tend to come back around when you're not the one in power. Meanwhile, I got a promotion. My boss said he respected how I handled things. Said most guys in my position would have gone off the rails, but I kept my head down, did the work, and showed up every day. I told him straight. I had a lot of anger, but I used it right. He nodded like that was the smartest thing he'd heard all week. Funny thing is, I didn't even feel angry anymore. Not really. There was a time when all I wanted was to scream at her, to ruin her life, to make her feel even half of what I went through. But watching her unravel on her own, watching her get left behind by the guys she risked it all for, that was justice. And it cost me nothing. I moved out of Leo's place, got my own apartment across town. Smaller space, but mine. Clean, quiet, peaceful. No lies, no tension. Just me and a couch I actually picked for myself. I started sleeping better, eating better. I even started running again. Hadn't done that since college. Every morning, I'd hit the trail by the river with my headphones in, thinking about how close I came to wasting my whole life trying to fix someone who didn't want to be saved. People always say time heals, but that's only half true. Distance heals. Truth heals. Walking away from people who thought you'd never have the guts to leave. That's what really heals.